I can't do this I genuinely can't do this for a full season. I cannot sit here and have to cope with this level of stress for a whole season. But for the fifth match in a row, so that's Bournemouth, that's Newcastle, that's Arsenal, that's Burnley, and now Atletico Madrid. We've won it in the last minute of the game. Literally the last couple of minutes of the match, we've won another huge game. The Champions League is back. I'm so happy the Champions League is back. I'm just insanity. I had such a composed way I was going to do this in my head. I knew what I was going to be saying. I was going to be discussing the performance. I was going to be sort of breaking it down, talking about it. Now it's just completely gone off the rails because once again, we have shown why we're the best club in Europe in terms of the comebacks we can stage, in terms of Champions League pedigree, in terms of us as a club. We are simply the best English team in Champions League in Europe. We just are unstoppable at points, and there is just so much to pick apart. Make sure to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, because just taking a minute. Liverpool have beat Atletico Madrid 3-2 in the Champions League. Our first group stage match, if you want to call it that, the league stage, whatever it is that people want to call it nowadays. We've picked up our first 3 points. 3 goals is the most we scored this season by Bournemouth. And it once again came in the dying moments of the game. And there's plenty of positives to discuss, plenty of good things to look over. 1 or 2 negatives, a couple little bits that we're also going to touch on. You need to get involved in the comments. Let me know what you thought of the match, what you thought of the result, the players, anything like that. But as an overall game, as a performance, as a display of Liverpool in Europe, very positive. A lot of good things to take from this match. It wasn't necessarily all about the late winner. It wasn't all about Simeone's implosion, which, but just comical. It's so comical. Listening to the commentators praising him for how composed he's been all night, how relaxed he's been, how it's not the Simeone of usual. And then in the last minute, head gone, sent off, police escort down the tunnel, right into the changing room. Incredible. That was a Champions League match where you had everything. Late goals, incredible build-up play, drama, aggressive tackles, managers being sent off. Like, that was a proper Champions League football match back to its best. And that is our first one of the group. So God knows what's going to happen when we play Galatasaray. God knows what happens when we play Real Madrid and AC Milan. Like, all these teams, if this is us setting the tempo and the standard, I cannot wait for what comes next. We can't keep doing it, but enjoy it while it goes on. No team in the Premier League has won more matches in the last few minutes than Liverpool. We have won 46 games because of this. The next highest is 33. And people will sit there and say that it's not a sustainable way. And it's not. You can't. Look, we're doing it at the moment, but we can't do every match like this. It just can't happen. But not every team can do this. Liverpool can do this. And people will say, well, champions of the past haven't done this. You know, big teams haven't done it, because there's been no one like us. As a team, it's in our DNA to get these late winners. There's so many examples from the Premier League, but the Champions League, you've got Ajax a few years ago, Joel Matip's goal, Olympiacos, AC Milan in 2005, Barcelona, PSG last season. There is no team better at getting these type of results than us. And that match right there, while it had a few faults, while it had a few things which we're going to look over now, as a whole, I wouldn't trade that for the world. That was an incredible result. And there's a lot of positives that we're going to dive into. Like I said, make sure to click like and subscribe. If you get involved in the comments, I will read out every comment. I'm going to respond to all of them. If you've got any questions, anything you want to put in, let me know. Sam says, boom, mad game, mental. And that's what the Champions League should be. I think the Champions League over the past few years has felt stagnant. I think it's felt a bit dull at points. That game was proper Champions League. That was Atletico coming to Anfield, Simeone's head explosion. We got to see Isak make his debut, which was brilliant. We'll touch on that as a performance. We saw the best performance of Florian Wirtz in a Liverpool shirt, I would say. Jeremy Frimpong, you know, going a bit ahead of ourselves, but there's a lot of things to take from that. If this goes on, my heart won't be able to keep up the Reds. I was like that after Bournemouth. 5 matches in, 5 late winners. can't keep doing it. Can't keep relying on late goals, says Matthew. Yeah, I'm in agreement with it, but I'm enjoying it while it's going on at the moment. Gakpo wasn't good. We will touch on that because there's plenty to dissect with that one. We are not playing good on it, and it worries me that we're not playing good, and it worries me that we can't keep leaving it late. Yep. Mate, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with it. You are right. It's not a sustainable long-term thing. As a moment, it's brilliant. Match after match after match after match. It's incredible to see. It's remarkable. It shows just us as a club, the fight that we've got, the desire to keep pushing forward and to do the things that we're doing. But it isn't something that's going to see us win the Premier League necessarily or the Champions League. It's great for the occasional match, but as a sustained long-term thing, it's not feasible to do that every match. But while it's going on, let's just enjoy the moment. I swear Liverpool must have some deal with a Hollywood director for the narrative of these matches. It can't be a coincidence, either that or a glitch in the Matrix. I mean, look, there was a lot of things tonight that sort of swayed this in Liverpool's direction, and I will get to the rest of the comments as we're going through. But we're gonna touch on the bit of the match because I think a lot of people went into this expecting that deep Atletico defense. I myself thought it. The commentators thought it. The build-up was all about, are Liverpool going to be able to break down Atletico's defense? That rigid back line that's just so deep to play against, so compact. Midfield drops deep, and when we saw them set up in that sort of 4-4-2. I think a lot of people expected it to go that way. But Atletico, they actually left a lot of gaps, a lot of space. And as soon as that first goal went in, debatable if it was Robertson. I think they cleared it up that it was, but it was a sort of question in the air. As soon as that went in, Atletico opened up, tried to push forward, and Liverpool were off the mark, flying. Absolutely flying. 2 minutes in, free kick, goes in. Lucky goal. We're not even going to dispute that. It's a lucky goal, but Atletico's both goals were lucky. The first one should have been offside. Second one was a deflection. We'll come to that in a bit, but you need that luck in those moments, and we rode it out, and it wasn't like we sort of scraped it with that lucky goal and then, completely, just looked our way to the result. We were good. We were the better team for the majority of today's match. I'd say up until the 60th minute. And then as soon as changes were made, as soon as the match slowed down, it sort of went into Atletico's favour a bit. Yeah, we'll go into that. A good performance. They should have won 8-2. No, I'm going to disagree with that one, but that's something. Next up, we've got I'm a heart patient. Mate, look, I think everyone is at the moment, given a lot of the stuff that's been going on in the past few matches. Jack has just changed the thing on the top right for me. Thank you, Jack. I don't know if you're going to respond. He's just left, but it doesn't matter. Thank you for any change. It is late night live. It's not Red Room. It's my mistake. Salah playing too wide and Rio as well. What is our game plan when playing a 9? It's clueless. Playing a 9 is... if this is the way Slot wants us to play. So we'll just talk about the elephant in the room. Isak got his debut. As a performance, nothing special. It wasn't like I think a lot of people thought he was just going to come in. He was going to absolutely steal the show. He was going to dominate physically. He was going to be on the last man. He was going to try and, bomb his way in behind. It didn't happen that way. For Isak, he had little glimpses. I thought his close control in the first half in particular was very good. When the ball was at his feet, he held it well. He had a couple shots in tight situations where, would Nunez have been able to get those shots? Would Ekitike debatably been able to get those shots? Who knows? But I thought his close control was good. His movement was fluid. He would drop deep when he needed to, would win the ball, drifted out wide. But it wasn't the breakout performance. And like Last Word in Liverpool says, Isak played well considering he hasn't had a preseason. That's a big, big factor. This was essentially Alexander Isak's preseason. Not making excuses. I see all the Twitter people like, oh, he's had a stinker, didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. But as a performance, I think this was as good as we were really going to get in this match. He wasn't going to come in and completely steal the show. This wasn't like he was playing against an open back four, which was like leaving loads of space. This wasn't that kind of game. This was a rigid Atletico back four who weren't going to give him a lot of time on the ball. Very physical, pressing. He did as well as he could. I think he did a good job, Alexander, keeping the ball too close to himself. And provided for others, there was a good link-up, especially with Florian Wirtz, who, for Florian Wirtz, That is his best performance in a Liverpool shirt, bar none. That is his best by a mile. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't faultless. But in those spaces, attacking-wise, when he's able to be a little bit higher than the deeper positions he's been occupying, but behind the striker, I thought he looked good. There was a few moments where I thought his passing was a bit wayward. Maybe his decision-making isn't quite there. But when it came into that second half and he was able to run with the ball, beat a man, he was beating players well. Physically, he held onto the ball. He couldn't get knocked off it. He'd drift out wide when he needed to. He was good going through the middle. It was just those decision-making moments. We were one pass away from stuff happening. That moment in the box where he should have shot. If he really needed to have a go at goal. His creativity was up there. I thought he was good at holding on to it. But yeah, it was just those little decision-making moments where you just thought, could you have released it there? Could you have set the ball off? Could you have shot there? That will come. That will come to him naturally. But I thought his progressive play with the ball moving forward was brilliant. And as an overall display for Wirtz, that is his best in a Liverpool shirt. I think pretty much bar none. I'm going to see if I can get his stats up actually while we're going on here. But let me know, what did you think of Wirtz? Rate Florian Wirtz's performance in the comments, because for me, I'd say 7. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. By the comparison of his matches that he's played so far, that was his best. The Florian Wirtz we saw at Leverkusen, not quite to that level, but that's going to take time. That's not going to hit right away. The link up between him and Isak, especially for the moment where Wirtz went round the Oblak, the link up was good. There was a nice 1-2 there. It's clear that they're looking for each other. Wirtz will go in behind sometimes. Isak's obviously going to go in behind. That's his role. I thought it was good. As a performance, it was good from Florian Wirtz, as was a few others on the team. And I suppose we'll touch on the lineup actually, because there was a few people who were a bit surprised by some of the decisions made, I think. So we go to this here, go on to SoScore, go to the lineup. This was the one that started. Alisson, there was a debate from Mamardashvili from Mo yesterday in Red Room. I think Alisson was always going to start this one, let's be honest. Then Robertson makes sense. Rest Kirkes. My worry with that was, I thought that maybe if Robertson was going to start against Atletico, would he start against Everton? Because I think that against Everton, Kirkes, who's very rash, maybe he will get caught up in the emotion of it. We're playing an Everton side who in the past few matches have physically dominated us. Is this the match for Robertson start? Should Kirkes start and come off for Robbo? Robbo starts against Everton. Who knows? Van Dijk, Kanate, Frimpong. Frimpong was one that a lot of people sort of had a bit of a discussion with, whether Conor Bradley was maybe going to start, get him some fitness. Or would Szoboszlai start at right back again? Who knows? But yeah, Frimpong at right back, I thought he was immense. Absolutely incredible today. His performance, his overall recovery, like his recovery play in general, is just so quick. He's so fast. And he's not the most physical player. Obviously, he can get bullied off the ball a lot. But his positioning was good. When the ball was trying to get put into the box by Atletico's players, he was very good at positioning himself, always found himself in the right spot. But his speed to get back, his desire to get back, we missed that so much when we had Trent. And not to go on the Trent train again, but it was the work rate at points. It was that desire to put himself into the right back position when he needed to. He relied so much on the likes of Wijnaldum at one point to cover him, Henderson, Konate. And Frimpong didn't do that. Frimpong was like, if I'm getting back, I'm going to do it. He committed himself. He was great at tracking back, good at going forward, came inverted when he needed to. Brilliant performance from Jeremy Frimpong as a whole. Moving on from him, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch in midfield. There was a question whether Maka would start. Obviously, Slot didn't feel he was ready. He doesn't look ready. Hasn't looked ready for the first few matches. This was the right choice. And Szoboszlai and Gravenberch as a double pivot, unplayable tonight. Dominic Szoboszlai and Ryan Gravenberch were unbelievable. Gravenberch in particular, we'll get to Szoboszlai in a moment, but there is no player better in Europe on the half turn than Ryan Gravenberch. There is no midfielder across Europe's top 5 leagues or anywhere that when they're on the half turn and they've got space to run into, space in between the lines, there is no one better than Ryan Gravenberch at the moment. He picks up that ball on the half turn. You know what he's going to do. He's going to drive with it. He's going to run at people. There's moments where he's picking it up in his own half. He's getting to the edge of their box and winning free kicks. He's setting it off for other people. He's finding space for himself and others because the midfield of Atletico didn't know how to cope with him. Gravenberch's immense. he is top level. And the alternate timeline where we get Zubimendi and Gravenberch ends up, in my opinion, if we'd have got Martin Zubimendi last summer, Gravenberch would not be here this season. I think he would have been sold because we wouldn't have unlocked him as this number 6. It would have been Endo as probably the backup. Gravenberch would have probably been moved further forward, like Klopp tried to. And I think Gravenberch's gone. This reality where he's been developed as this number 6, good on the ball, takes his time with it, able to pick a pass, but he's also able to run into space, go in between the channels. He was superb today. Him and Szoboszlai complement each other so well because they both press and they know that if one of them moves forward, like in the first half, Gravenberch was so much more advanced than Szoboszlai. And that played a real role in how Szoboszlai played tonight. Like, look here, Ryan Gravenberch's actual overall position on the pitch in that first half, further up, actually looks like some sort of like a balloon dog, that, I'm not going to lie. And then that, look at Szoboszlai's on the left there. They rotated so well around each other, and he knew that if one went, one had to stick. And if they rotated, it worked faultlessly. But they always knew that Wirtz had to be the highest up midfielder. Wirtz had to be the top of that midfield triangle at all times. And it was either Gravenberch supporting him or Szoboszlai supporting him. On defensive transitions, both came back and went into the double pivot. Brilliant to see from them both tonight. And the way it worked, McAllister's got a real challenge of forcing either one of them out of this team, either one of Szoboszlai or Gravenberch. And I think Szoboszlai this season, has he been our best player this season so far? Possibly, quite possibly. He was a bit slow against Palace. Bournemouth, yeah, hit and miss. But from then on, you know, Gravenberch came in against Newcastle, was brilliant. And then from then on, he sort of made the position back to his own. But Dominic Szoboszlai at right back, amazing. He's moved into midfield and he hasn't skipped a beat. He just is pressing. His work rate off the ball is just as important as ability on the ball. And as a player, Dominic Szoboszlai has developed into what we thought he was going to be. Box to box, tenacious in a tackle. But when he's running with the ball now, like you go back to 2 seasons ago, it always felt like he lacked that final pass. He lacked that intelligence to find someone. He doesn't feel like he has that anymore. It feels like when Szoboszlai now is picking up the ball and running with it, he's finding someone. He's finding space to work with. It doesn't feel as rash and, you know, that Gagan style that Klopp wanted necessarily. And it sounds like I'm giving Klopp shit. I'm not. It's just that the way that Slot operates, you've got more time on the ball. It's a bit more meticulous. That seems to suit Szoboszlai more than him running around like a headless chicken. When he presses now, there's a purpose to it. When he runs with the ball, there's a purpose to it. And yeah, Gravenberch's attacking threat was brilliant. Salah, in that first half, I thought he was back to his best. He faded as the match went on, but I don't think that's necessarily down to him. I think when Frimpong went off, there was a big drop in Salah's quality. You can see here how far he was, like how tight he was to that right-hand touchline. But my fat head's in the way here. Let me just see if I can. There we go. You see how tight he was. And I think when Frimpong went off, he lost that option on the right-hand side because Conor Bradley, he had a poor game tonight, Conor Bradley. He just didn't look up with the pace of it. He seemed to really struggle to match the intensity. There was moments where he was holding the ball up in our final third and he just looked lost. He didn't know whether to give it to Alisson to try and get a deflection, to just kick it out. Decision-making was poor from Bradley, and that is something that he will work on. That's something that will improve, absolutely. But he'll get there. He's come back to fitness. It's a big game to get thrown into. Atletico are 2-2. He's really, well, he went 2-2 at that point. He was at fault for the second goal, let's be honest, to an extent. But it was a hard match to get thrown straight back into. He'll get there, but I think this match pretty much sealed who the starting right back is. And there were doubts from people over whether Frimpong would be capable in the back 4. Would he be capable of playing in this system? He's a back 3. He's a wing backs per se. There was no doubt about it. He was incredible tonight. Frimpong did well tonight. Mo plays better when he's right back. He does. He really does. And that's what I was saying there. Like when Frimpong went off, Salah just was isolated. You know, 2 defenders on him. Couldn't find any sort of seismic pass to anyone. And that's been a big problem this season. I think Salah's missed having that overlap and fullback. He had Trent last season. Bradley, when he was in good form, was doing it. He had Frimpong at the start of this season, who disappeared after Palace and Bournemouth because he got injured, of course, in the Bournemouth match. So, you know, that will have an impact on Salah as well. And we saw when he went off, Salah reverted back to that old way of playing that's been going on this season. Gravenberch was godly as usual, candidate for Premier League Player of the Season if he continues. It's just mental to me that this is the reality we're living in, where Gravenberch's this good. I keep harping back to it, but there is no midfielder better on the half turn. There is no midfielder better at receiving the ball in that position, spinning and going with it. I've always been a big proponent of your number 6 should just be a brick shithouse. He should be someone who can break up play, put in a tackle, win the ball, and let the other creative players around him do more with it. You know, like your Fabinho's, that kind of ilk of player, just that big monster. Gravenberch has changed my opinion on that tenfold. He's huge. He's so important to this team. The way he makes space, working in between the lines, he's just so positive in his play, and it showed massively today. Like, long balls accurate, yeah, whatever you do. 78 touches, pass accuracy of 89%, dribble attempts, 1 of them successful, ground duels won 6 of 9, aerial duels 1 of 1, 2 clearances, 2 tackles. He was brilliant today, Gravenberch, and there's not enough positive words I can say about just how good he was. We've touched on Salah, we've touched on Isak, but the one person that we need to touch on now, I think, is Cody Gakpo. This is look, Cody Gakpo last season, we saw a different side to him. This match was crying out for Rio Ngamoa to be brought on sooner than he was. This match was crying out in that first half for someone like Ngamoa to hug the left-hand side and just try and beat a man. I'm tired of Gakpo's first instinct being to pick up the ball and immediately cut back inside. You don't have to do it every single time. There's that moment in the first half where he's one-on-one, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, if that's Ngamoa, if that's Diaz, you know, if that's any other left winger in Liverpool's history of the past few years, they're thinking, I can beat him. Gakpo's first instinct is always, can I put it into the middle to someone? And I understand that is the tactics. I understand entirely that is the way that Slot wants him to play. But it doesn't suit him at the moment. It's not clicking. His shots are wayward. His passing is really, really poor, and that's demonstrated by the passing accuracy that he actually put on. 71% pass accuracy. Made 1 key pass, that's brilliant, but his dribble attempts, only 1 of 3 were successful. Won 1 of 4 ground duels. Lost possession 11 times as a whole. This was not a performance that Gakpo is going to look back on and think that he did well. And there's a lot of people who will defend him, saying, well, he's a system player. You know, he's a winger because Slot wants him to cut inside. He wants him to find Wirtz, who's running into that space. There's moments where wingers need to be wingers, and they need to just say, right, I will beat that man in front of me. I will make space. If that's Rio Ngamoa in that one-on-one situation with the defender, he's thinking, can I beat him? Can I get past him? Because if you think about how many chances we were creating in that first half for Isak, for Salah, there was so much space in behind that Atletico back line when we got to the wings. If you beat that one player, there's so many options on for you. Gakpo always just allows them time to get back into position, and it's got to stop. I get it. I understand. But as a performance today, he just didn't look off it. He lost a lot of his battles. As soon as the second half started, it was like, just please get him off. And then Gakpo came on in the 71st minute, was it? Let me just have a quick check here. 58th minute, sorry. No, he didn't, sorry. Gakpo got subbed off and then Wirtz went left wing, which Grizz called yesterday. To be fair, Grizz said yesterday, look, Wirtz could play as left winger. I was all for it in the sense of it's an option. Didn't think it'd actually work, but it is what it is. Defensively tonight, see a comment about that. Like, I thought we were solid, but we did rely on a lot of last-ditch tackles, last-ditch clearances, and a few big moments from the likes of Van Dijk. I saw a comment earlier on that was saying Van Dijk was glass, but I'm assuming you mean class. Let me see if I can find it. Virgil van Dijk was glass. I'm assuming it's meant to be class because I thought Van Dijk was amazing. He obviously got the late winner, you know, that alone makes it a class performance. But his defensive performance was up there. We've seen it so much this season, time and time again, and it was on display again. There he is, 8 clearances, 1 interception, 6 of 7 aerial duels won, 1 of 1 ground duel won. It's just become such a... It's just business as usual now with Van Dijk, to the point where it's like this performance from any other defender, you're looking at that and you're thinking that is elite, that's top level. And to us, that's Van Dijk. He just does it. And it doesn't get the appreciation that it deserves. We're witnessing one of the best defenders in Liverpool's history. We've known that for years. But this was a great display from him. I thought Konate was good. A couple moments where he's a little bit out of position. For the first goal, he does play them on side. So that's up for debate. But I thought he was good. As a physical player, did really well. Shoved Atletico players off the ball. That's all you can do, really. And as a whole, I thought the first half was brilliant. It felt like we were back to our best. We were fluid going forward. We looked positive. Great display as a whole. Gakpo's out of sort. Do you think he's struggling with Isak and Hugo being new and not used to playing with them? Quite possibly. I think that it's more so a systematic approach. Slot wants him to cut back inside where you've got Wirtz running into space. You've got an overlapping player who will give him a different option, because I think he knows that Gakpo hugging the byline, like constantly trying to beat people, isn't going to work, because Gakpo, realistically, as good as a technical player he is, he's not a Luis Diaz, for example. He's not going to pick up the ball and beat someone and go round them and, square it across the box. I think Slot knows Gakpo's limitations, and he's very much saying to him, you cut inside, there will be other players there to receive it. You've got a big striker in the middle. Just put it to his feet. We're very much at point. We want the ball to feet. We want the ball low. Just play it into people. You've got Wirtz running in space, Szoboszlai doing it, Gravenberch doing it at points. You've got Robbo going on the overlap if you do want to get it into the box from out wide. So as much as I think it's him struggling with the likes of Isak and Hugo Ekitike there, maybe adjusting to it, I think it's more Slot's limitations on him just saying, hold up play, cut inside. So it could be a mix of both, but that's just my personal take on it. And then going to the second half, Wirtz, I thought, started it really well. He was beating players left, right, and centre on the ball. There were people saying that this was a pretty average performance, maybe by the standards we expect, but I thought it was great. 5 key passes, 26 of 31 accurate passes, 84% done there. 2 big chances created. Dribble attempts successful. He beat a couple of people, but he was more sort of, when he had the ball, he was hard to get off it kind of thing, in like a Salah sort of vein. But he won 2 of his 8 ground duels there. I don't think Wirtz had a bad game. I thought he actually had a pretty good game. I think that's his best game in the Liverpool shirt. But I get why people want more. I get why people are looking at it thinking you can get more from him. Now that he's able to occupy that space on the pitch, let me just see that area there, the sort of in between, like the final third, now that he's there and he's got someone in front of him like Isak, he looks more productive. He looks like the player we expected. When Ekitike came on, he obviously came deeper. He dropped into a more sort of that false 9 role that we're used to seeing. And I think that sort of limited a bit more of what Wirtz was having to do. And that's why he sort of drifted out into the left-hand position there. So it was a game of rotation towards this end of the second half. Wirtz got pushed out wide. Didn't see the best from him. Ekitike looked lively when he came on at that moment late on in the match. He should have scored. The ball's bouncing, I get it. But you do that, it's 4-2. The game's dead and buried. Would have been nice for him to score, but I thought he looked good when he came on, lively, full of energy. At least gave the Atletico Madrid defense a problem. And that's what we gave Nunez a lot of credit for, was he comes on, adds energy, puts the fear of God in the back line. Ekitike's doing that now. And it's a nice option to have, brings you something different. And like I said, it felt like we were just one pass away at points from getting through or finding space. Wirtz mainly was culpable for this. Salah once or twice. Even Szoboszlai, I think, had moments where you just think, and just pass it there. But overall, you can't have too much to say. Atletico's goals, the first one, he's offside, Griezmann, by a mile. How they can say it's not getting in Alisson's vision, I don't know. I understand the rule, because it took it to deflection. They're sort of saying, well, he could have maybe got to it. That's fine. That is what it is. But as an overall, you're talking about the rule. If it goes to Alisson's left-hand side, I get it, because he can see the ball. It's gone to the side which is literally being blocked. He can't see the ball. It takes the deflection. He's got no chance of seeing that. I think, would he have got it? Probably not. If the player wasn't there and it did all that it did, could he have done it? No. I don't think he would have saved it anyway. But the rule's the rule. He's in the way of his vision. He's blocking him. Not sure how that quite counted. And then the second one from Llorente, who just leave us alone. 4 goals against us now. I think I heard a mad stat from the commentators saying that he's got the second most involvement of goals against us, the first being Karim Benzema. That's 4 goals in 2 trips to Anfield Llorente has scored. Just leave us alone. Go away. It does take a deflection, but it was coming at that point. I think he was brilliant. For Simeone as well, I can't remember his first name. Not Diego Simeone, his son. I thought he was good tonight. He looked like he was really, really going for it. He was defending well. He was putting himself in the wings. I thought he was a good player. I honestly, I think that sort of puts to bed this whole thing of he's there because he's a son. He was there on merit today. Fair play to Atletico. They've got some good players in and around them. And let's not take away from the fact as well that this was an Atletico team that were missing a lot of their top quality players. This would have been a very different game, I think, if you had like Alvarez there, Hermoso. Like there was a lot of big names not included in Atletico's team today. Like just before we get a bit carried away, there was 1 or 2 missing. Alvarez is the big one, of course, but yeah, that is what it is. Getting in each other's way a bit as well. We saw this. I saw Josh Williams do something on it, which was really interesting, where he was saying, like, because Wirtz naturally wants to drift out wide at points, Gakpo, Ekitike. Players getting in each other's way seems to be a bit of a problem. And that moment where Salah hits the post, just get out of each other's way. I think it's Wirtz and Szoboszlai. Just one of you drift. Just say to the other, look, you go to the ball, I'm going to drift out wide, and you have the shot, or you create whatever. Just get out of each other's way. Salah shouldn't be hitting the post from there. Let's be completely honest about that. He really shouldn't. But it's a nightmare, and it's something that keeps cropping up as players getting in each other's bastard way. Just move. It's stressful as anything, and at that point, you do that, and the game's done. Like, well, it's closer to being done. Let's be honest, because we've proven tonight that the game's never over, especially not for us. Taking off Isak, I think that sort of put a bit of a dampener on things. I might be sounding a bit daft there, but I think Isak coming off sort of lowered the atmosphere. It sort of brought down the intensity for us. It felt like a bit of a dampener. He was never going to play the full 90 minutes, let's be honest here. We've got Everton on Saturday, so we've only got 3 days in between matches, and it's an early kickoff. So you've got Thursday, Friday, and then early kickoff Saturday. So he was never going to play the full 90 minutes. I thought he was going to go off at half-time. He didn't. He was effective in the second half up until then. But yeah, when he went off, it just felt like a little bit, like the atmosphere got sucked out a bit. Like a lot of people were there to see Isak when he was gone, which is disappointing. I think for a Champions League game against anyone, it's Liverpool in the Champions League, this is our bread and butter. You should be up for it. Not as soon as Isak goes off do we suddenly drop off. But hey-ho. Growing pains, imagine being us. It's such a hard life when you're like, oh, Florian Wirtz is taking a bit of time to settle in. Oh, Isak, bring on Ekitike, I suppose. What a hard life. What a difficult life. No longer are we bringing on, Ricky Lambert in place of injured Daniel Sturridge, or, Sean Dundee's coming on for Michael Owen. Like, the days are long gone. This is a mental time. And just to put this into perspective, this was us with a starting 11 that consisted of £200 million plus players in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid. Like, it doesn't get much bigger. It doesn't get much bigger than that. A Champions League football is back, and this is how we've set the tempo. I just can't wait. 2 records we set tonight as well. The fastest we've scored 2 goals in a Champions League match, or a European match, I believe it was. Let me see if I can find that here. Fastest we've scored 2 goals in our European history. Big one there. And also Rio Ngomoa, he's now the youngest ever player for Liverpool in European competition. Did he do much? Not really. I don't really think he had much of a chance to, Ngomoa. When he was on the ball, I think the law for Ngomoa is, look, you just try and beat people. But when Atletico scored that second goal, they just shut up shop. They weren't coming out. They weren't trying to press. They weren't trying to make anything happen. They were just sitting back and saying, right, you come at us. As soon as they scored that second goal, it went back to the Atletico Madrid of old. That Atletico Madrid we expect, where they go defensively compact. The 4 midfielders drop deep in front of the back line. And yeah, Ngomoa was never going to get joy with that. Ngomoa was needed in the first half when Atletico were pushing forward, committing their fullbacks high. There was a lot of space to go into. That second half, as soon as they parked the bus and shut up shop, it was never going to happen. And the goal was never going to come from open play. So let's just get that right. Credit to Conor Bradley for winning that corner, though, which led to the goal. You know, he put the ball in a dangerous spot, didn't give up, could have let the ball go out and went for the throw in or whatever. That was his good moment, Conor Bradley. But the rest of the match, he struggled physically, mentally. I think he struggled. He just didn't know what to do when he was being pressed. That goal that he gave up, he gets beat way too easy on the near post. Not a great performance from him. And I think this solidifies that Frimpong is pretty much the nailed on first teamer for us at right back. But it is what it is. And then, Madrid just grew into the game defensively. And credit to Madrid for that, because a lot of teams at that point, I think they go 2-2 and they're thinking, let's just, let's get out there. Let's completely try and blow them away. But Simeone said earlier on this week in the press conference that Liverpool are one of the best transition teams in Europe. He said that we're one of the best teams going from counter-attacking, from defensive work straight into attack. And I think if he knew that if he was to press, if he was to try and get that third goal and just go for the jugular while they were 2-2, they would have looked exposed. And as soon as we scored that third, you've then had Ekitike going in behind, you had Salah going in behind, as a testament to that. So they knew as soon as they pushed forward to try and go for it, they would have got completely ripped apart. It happened in the first half, happened towards the end of the second. Fair play to Simeone and his side. I was waiting for that sort of drama kickoff from him. It came eventually. I can't wait to watch his post-match press conference. I hope he does just flips his lid. It's just so funny to me. But I think that's going to wrap it up in a moment, guys, because it's as a whole, Liverpool today we've set a standard again for ourselves, which is we're not going anywhere. It's 5 games in a row of which we've won in the dying moments, and we can't keep doing it. We can't keep winning matches in this way. I mean, we can, but we just can't. This is the mental thing. Like, no club does this like us. People will say that champions don't do this. People will say, and I said this at the very beginning, people will say champions don't do this. People will say that Champions League winners do not do this. They don't keep winning matches in the dying moments, game after game after game. You should be blowing teams away. You should be, ripping 4, 5, 6-0. Football's been ruined by this narrative that, every game has to be blown away, 6, 7-0, whatever. And that we should be doing that in certain games. I'm not disputing that. But there's no champions of England like us. There's no team in Europe like us. The amount of games that we've won in the dying moments is unparalleled. And this is how we do it. As a club, Liverpool, it's ingrained in our DNA that we will do this in Europe. We will do this in the Premier League. There's been countless examples. And I listed a few at the top. Olympiacos is a big one. AC Milan Champions League final 2005 is the biggest one. That will never be topped. But you've got Barcelona, you've got Ajax. There's a multitude of examples of Liverpool doing this. And it's not sustainable. It's not something that you can look at and keep doing game after game after game. But for the individual moments, for the individual brilliance, and just that euphoria that you feel from it, I will not get rid of it for a moment. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this was a good result, a bad result? I'd say this is Liverpool's best performance so far this season. I understand, Newcastle first. No, Newcastle was pretty much poor all game. Bournemouth as a whole scoreline, but we were pretty poor. Arsenal kept the clean sheet, but again, we weren't great. Burnley, we weren't great. We were against a very rigid back four. I think this is our best performance in terms of our attacking football. Defensively, I thought we looked good. It was just 2 unfortunate goals that we really conceded. And again, big moment. And finally, we looked effective off a set piece. Finally, we looked good off a corner. I've been wanting for that for months now. Even in pre-season, we looked dog on corners. Finally, we beat the first man and it paid off. It paid off brilliantly. Great results from Liverpool. Simeone with multiple middle finger gestures to the crowd and referee priceless. I saw that. And at one moment, I thought he was doing that. I thought he was sort of going no, or telling them off. And then it clicked in my head and I was like, he's box office, Diego Simeone. I don't like him. I think he's a bit of a, but as an entertaining manager, Diego Simeone's up there, man. He's when his head goes, it just goes, and it's so fun to watch. But yeah, as a performance overall, I give that I say 7. I'll say 7 out of 10. It had moments where it looked like we were that sort of free flow and attacking best, but it had moments defensively we looked a little bit cautious, a bit exposed even at points. 2 unfortunate goals to concede. Conor Bradley didn't look great, but Dominic Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, that's their best games this season. I'd say, Szoboszlai had the Arsenal match, of course, and Newcastle at right back, but as a midfield performance, Best from them. Wirtz's best game. Isak made his debut. Salah looked like he was back to it until Frimpong went off, which is a concern. And Frimpong looked great. Overall, 7 out of 10. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Do you think that this was a very positive performance from Liverpool? Were you happy with it? Make sure to click like and subscribe. If you head over to Anfield Index, go check out the Substack. It was always liverpool.co.uk. There's so much work, like great content going on there, but click subscribe. There'll be more shows coming. Obviously, Jack did the watch along earlier on. Always brilliant to watch them, so make sure you go check it out. If you want to see more of me, down there. Want to hear me talk absolute wham for ages, go subscribe to my channel. Really would mean a lot beyond the cop. But subscribe to Anfield Index. They're absolutely doing brilliant work. And yeah, 3-2. Beat Atletico Madrid. Everton next. So hopefully we can just have that match won before